Welcome to the annual meeting of International Women's Convocation. Greetings to officers, members, and friends. We come together to celebrate 10 years of highs and lows, to honor our founding director, and renew our commitment to service as a women's organization working to support the empowerment and equality for women and girls worldwide. It is through passion about women's empowerment that we continue striving to find opportunities to make a global difference. We do this by supporting grassroots movements in entire communities and affirming their right to identify for themselves who they are and to express themselves in ways that are authentic to them. We also continue the legacy established at the Seneca Falls Convention in 1848 that called women to organize and petition for their rights. At our annual gathering 1 year ago, I urged you to remember the words of Hillary Clinton when she reminded us that the rights of women and girls is the unfinished business of the 21st century. As we enter into the year 2020, keeping that in the forefront of our minds, due to the pandemic caused by the COVID-19 virus, much of our focus shifted to concerns for our health and that of family and friends. As time passed, we saw news reports of both professional and paraprofessional females in healthcare on the front lines being hailed as essential workers. Ironically enough, while there has been an increase in the diversity of female leadership in the field of healthcare, the primary decision makers continue to be male, and there continues to be a gender gap in salary. Former First Lady Michelle Obama reminds us that no country can thrive if it stifles the potential of its women and deprives itself of the contributions of half its citizens. Whether women's work is deemed menial or essential, the path to true gender equality is not a linear one. So it's up to us to continue the fight for gender equality, even if it makes people uncomfortable. May it be so.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Reverend Carol Houston. I am with you from New York City, and I want to bring some words of meditation and inspiration to you as we start this morning. This is a time of fear, a time of chaos, time of isolation, unprecedented. We are not together for this breakfast as we usually would be. This is a different time. And we need to be together. We need to be together. And I have lighted a candle for us. I'm not sure whether you can see it. Maybe some of you can see my face. But a candle is lighted, a candle symbolic of our being together, of our joining together. We are here today as siblings, joined in common purpose, common goal, as Ade talked to us about. We are here to be inspired by stories of action to empower women, to teach women to be safe, to put down domestic violence and violence in the world in general, to help women know their identities and claim them in leadership in the world. We're here to be inspired. We're here to be educated today. We are here to be educated about what is going on and the ways that we can connect with all the work that is going on among women's groups around the world, in India, in Bolivia, in Transylvania, in the Philippines, in Kenya, in Japan, in Australia, around the world, tying us together. We're here to learn how to support each other around the world and how groups around the world are supporting each other, how are learning to do things and then teaching it to other groups of women. We're here to learn. We're here to be challenged as well. People are in the streets, and although many of us probably are not out in the streets, many of us are, and we know the people who are, and we are with them. Our mission is one with, intersects with the mission of Black Lives Matter, the mission of transgender people, the mission of LGBTQ people in general, the mission of all in the world who are oppressed, who are crying out against violence, against laws and rules that kill. We are with them. We are challenged to be one with them. We are here today to find hope that the generosity of spirit among women and among all in the world will bring us to a better place, a place of equity, a place of peace, a place of love. May we be inspired, may we learn, may we be challenged as we listen to voices from around the world today and share in this place. So be it. For our first inspiration and education, today we are turning to keynote speakers from Acacia in Kenya. We will hear from Joyce Mohr and Noel Lutomia, and speaking about an organization that has been in operation for 15 years, an organization that we have been working with for several months with the hope of a gathering in Kenya. It was to be a year from October. It is questionable about whether that will happen, but we can be gathered even if we are not in the same place, and we intend to do that as we move forward. And so Joyce, why don't you take it over and talk with us about your projects in Kenya.
Thank you so much, Carol. And just to let people know about what we're going to do is I will speak for a few comments, and then Noel has prepared a video. She is also on the line with us, but we're going to use her video presentation just to make sure that the quality of her message comes through well. And then I'll make a few more comments, and then we'll do the question and answers. First, I just wanted to say hello to members and friends of the International Women's Convocation. For Noel and I, this is quite an honor, and so thank you so much for having us as your keynote speaker. This has been a fabulous...
There's an international meeting.
So Acacia in Kenya was founded in 2005. As mentioned, 15 years. In preparation for this meeting, I was really impressed with the amount of work we have done in the 15 years and how long we have been doing it. The project was co-founded by myself, Joyce Mohr, and Sammy Lutomia. In 2005, I was invited by the Lutomia family for a visit. And in the preparation for that visit, my host family wanted to make sure that I got to see everything there was to see. And they are so committed to their community, to social justice, to education, to the health of their community. that in preparation for that, I engaged my home UU church at the time, which was First Parish, Waltham, Massachusetts. And so with them, we collected school supplies and clothing for orphanage and funds. The pictures that you're going to see as I'm speaking are somewhat random, and thank you, Sophie, for advancing them or running them. If people have questions about them later, we can do that. Basically, that first trip was just amazing and eye-opening for me. I had not done a lot of travel, and to meet people in Kenya who were so just committed to their communities and to the work that they were doing for other people was really an inspiration. It, of course, was also very hard to come home and recognize that only by accident of the place of and opportunities that I was born into, and not through anything special on my own, was my life so much different than my new friends and the people that I had met and interacted with. And so it was from that trip that we decided to co-found Acacia in Kenya, and First Parish, Waltham, Massachusetts decided to make it an official outreach project. So for many years, we've been focused on making connections and understanding each other and transformations. I don't come to this by any special education or professional, abilities. And so I think that that's a huge blessing for our organization and what we've been able to do, because the result is that I was entirely dependent on the, Noel and Francis Lutomia, the father of the family, to determine what projects made sense and how those things should be implemented. So my role was raising awareness and funds and not driving projects. And I think that's made Acacia in Kenya much more effective in the work that we do. I say that what we're about is, connections and transformations, because we are not out to have any specific outcome, but rather through these interactions to remove some of the impediments to people's opportunities to do the work for themselves and their communities. So we very often have focused on educating one girl at a time. We have a sponsorship program that we have continued throughout, and that includes high school education as well as on to university education and graduate work. All of those students have increased their own opportunities, and many of them have come back to actually help with projects and certainly in their community. And I think that Linda says all of this so much better than I can at times. And so I'd be very happy, Sophie, for you to share the video that Linda has prepared for us.
I'm Jamboni. Tell them you're going to be. My name is Noel Lutomia, the project coordinator of Acacia in Kenya. Thank you for inviting us to be keynote speakers during your 10th anniversary of the IWC. Acacia in Kenya has been working in Kenya for the past 15 years, and we've been empowering girls and women in rural Kenya in areas of sexual and reproductive health and rights, menstrual hygiene management, entrepreneurship, agribusiness management, and their general well-being as women. Our main milestones or achievements for the past 10 years have been: we have a dormitory at St. Elizabeth Lureko Girls High School that houses 120 girls each year, and as such, we've been able to keep girls in school. Secondly, we have a sponsorship program where more than 46 girls have been sponsored through high school into university education and are now professional women in their own right. Thirdly, we have been able to provide support for STEM subjects at St. Elizabeth Lureko Girls High School, which has 350 girls. Our sexual and reproductive health program has been able to reach over 1,000 girls in Mohr and the program is in place to enable girls to understand themselves, know what adolescence is all about, and grow into young able to withstand the pressure of life. Fourth, we have our support for STEM subjects, whereby girls are encouraged to do science-based subjects so that they can venture into areas such as engineering, agriculture, science, and technology. all our graduates or all the girls who've been sponsored through a sponsorship program have taken courses that are science-based as a result of our support to the science subjects. And lastly, we have Project Commercial COVID Mashinani, where we received a lot of support from IWC, and we really appreciate. Asanteni sana. Part of your contribution helped us reach more than 50 families with support on SOAP, sensitization on prevention of COVID-19, water buckets, and sanitary towels for women. 45 families in our community were displaced as a result of floods caused by the high rainfall in the region. And this, we were able to reach these families and provide them with water buckets, sanitary towels to last 2 months for the women, and training on how to wash their hands in a proper way according to World Health Organization regulations. And we also gave them a little money to enable them buy foodstuffs so that they could have meals for their children. We were able to sew 100 masks, which we distributed to children below the age of 10 and adolescent girls. This was because so many other organizations were distributing masks to adults and the young people were left out. So the support from IWC came in handy, where we were able to show the masks and distribute to children who are also affected by COVID. Through your support, we were also able to make 100 liters of soap, which we distributed 50 liters to the displaced families and adolescent girls in our community. We thank you so much for this support, and we look forward to reaching out to more girls with schools just about to open. We're looking forward to distribute more soap to adolescent girls. COVID-19 has also brought with it a lot of challenges for adolescent girls. We find that girls are at home with their abuser. Rape is on a high rate. Issues of teenage pregnancies are now getting on the rise again in our community. And we hope to carry out trainings on sexual and reproductive health and rights to enable girls have the right information so that they can make very correct decisions in terms of whether or not to engage in sexual activity. We hope you're going to support us in this. Thank you so much for listening to me. You can follow us for more information on our Facebook page, Acacia in Kenya, and also on our website, www.acaciainkenya.com. Oriom No, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Noel, for not only the video, but all of the work that you've been doing. You know, we started this, as I said, with the societal change, one girl at a time, because the unequal access for girls in education was a glaring problem, which still exists, although much improvement has made throughout the country and specifically in the area and the community that we work in. As we've done this work, we realize that, you know, education is only effective if the community around it is also healthy, and the other issues, sexual violence, menstrual health and hygiene, access to food, and most currently COVID. So we are very appreciative of the support of the IWC for our current COVID work, COVID prevention work, so that we can share the WHO recommendations, soap, and masks that we are making. So that's important work, and all of those different projects that we do help so that people are in a better position to take advantage of education. We thank you so much for this opportunity, and Noel is on the line as well, so we certainly welcome any questions that you may have at this time. And I don't know how you want to manage that, Sophie, in terms of questions and answers, but we're both here.
Julie, do you want to take over or at this point? No, okay. So if you do have a question, you can unmute yourself. You can also raise a hand. So if you look at, if you find your name and raise a hand, I know that you would like to say something. Otherwise, just unmute yourself and ask your question.
I have a question.
Yes, please. Could you tell us your name and where you're calling in from?
Marcia Sill, Seattle, Washington.
Marcia, go ahead, please.
Yes. Does Acacia in Kenya have a U.S. tax exempt number?
Yes, we do. We had
Is
started,
it
we had,
posted on your website?
I believe that it is, and I'm certainly happy to share it with you as well. It should, our website is under development, and so if it isn't there, I'll make sure that it is.
I wonder if you could type it into the chat, so if other people are interested in making a donation, they would have the tax exempt number.
Perfect. I'd be happy to do that, as well as the information in terms of where to make a donation.
Thanks for all your good work. I'll mute myself.
Do we have any other comments or questions?
Hi, this is Karen. I was just wondering, I had some trouble hearing the video. I don't know if other people did. Are you going to maybe be able to email the video out to people so that they'd be able to watch it later if they weren't able to catch all of it?
I was planning to send out our anniversary video, and we could send out this video as well. We would have to, Joyce, we would have to put it up on YouTube channel. Would that be fine? And I guess, yes, okay, and we'll.
That will be fine if you want to add it to your YouTube channel, and at some point we'll get it on ours too. But for easier access for people on this call, putting it on your YouTube channel would be just fine.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we will definitely send out both this video and our upcoming anniversary video that is going to be shown in a little while. This is always a problem with Zoom, that there is a little backlog when you show a video. So you will get the link to the two videos, and you can do it at a later time as well.
This is a day. Did you see the chat, message from Karen, Kathy Birrick in the chat box?
I would not put the tax exempt number in the chat in case of hacking.
Yes.
Yes, I did not write the tax exempt number in yet, but I'm sure that later you can find that information on the website.
I will go ahead and put it in. It is public information, so even if somebody can either get it online or anyway, it's very important to watch your social security number, but when it is a tax exempt ID number of a public organization, it's very easy to get that number. So I'm quite comfortable sharing that publicly, and I will put the information on how to donate in the chat box when I'm done answering questions so that I can also pay more attention.
Mm-hmm. Here's another question from the chat box. How many people are in the program there?
I would defer, Noel, to you to talk about the numbers of people that we're currently serving and have in the past.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
Hello, we hear you.
Oh, I hope that's good. I just needed to confirm. So the girls who've been part of our sponsorship program, they volunteer as part of the program volunteers. So we have more than 10 girls, and we also have young people in the community who come in with a different expertise area to help us. In terms of the girls we reach, right now I can say we reach more than 1,000 girls, because currently we are working with 2 schools in this community, and St. Elizabeth Lureco Girls High School has more than 350 girls. St. Romanos Matawa is a mixed school. It has more than 500 people. And then we have our out of school girls program where we have more than 200 girls. And then we also work with women groups in different communities within the Mumias area. And on average, a women's group will have between 20 and people. And we're currently working with 3 groups. So in total, I think project beneficiaries are around between 2,000 to 3,000 people. If we aggregate the reach, assuming that when you talk to a girl, she talks to 2 other girls or 3 other girls from other schools. So that is how far our reach is.
Thank you, Noel. The person who has a question, Anne Greenwood, responded. Very impressive. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments before I turn it on to Julie Steinbach?
Good morning. I was there last year with Joyce and Noel, and can witness that Noel and her good friend Ima gave a presentation on Menstrual Hygiene Day to 200 girls packed together in one large classroom. So that was just one example of numbers being served. And so this is our offertory moment. If we were all together in Providence, we would be at breakfast, for which we would have paid something. And so we're asking this morning for much less, since we're not actually being fed, other than by inspiration, for a $20 donation. And there's 50 of us here this morning, so that would be $1,000, which would double what we've already raised. We've already raised over $1,000 for Acacia in Kenya since Mother's Day. And this was our favorite breakfast that was prepared by, these pictures were actually taken the last day we were together there a year ago. It was Noel's sister, Rachel Lutomia, who is a certified chef from a culinary institute in Nairobi, who prepared the toast mayai, which is chapati and eggs scrambled together, as you can see, with the chicken sausage, cabbage, and beans. That was part of it. And then the sweet East African donuts are called mandazi, hot from the kitchen, and the ground nuts roasted. So imagine yourself being together with us in Kenya, and the gathering that we're hoping to be able to actually pull together in the post-COVID or our new COVID world. Anyway, so that's the invitation to breakfast in Kenya with us, breakfast in our minds right now, with a $20 donation that you can make on Facebook. And this is what the money is going to, okay, on Facebook, write a check, on the website donate button. And yes, back one slide, please, Jofi, to the what Noel had sent us when she first talked about what they were doing in response to COVID. With $2,500, they can reach 200 girls with sanitary pads, supply 200 families of 6 with tap buckets and soap, because not everybody has running water. So sew and distribute the masks, which you saw her with the Singer sewing machine, which was on the porch of the family home there, and make all that refill soap, 100 liters. And then of course the transportation of materials from Bungoma, which is actually where her sister Rachel lives, about 50 miles away, and Nairobi. And then doing the training that you saw pictures of. So this is what the money is going towards. And already they've been doing a lot of the work. So with your generosity, think breakfast in Kenya, think all the good work that Acacia in Kenya is doing, and our money is feeding that world. So please open your heart and your pocketbooks and give to Acacia in Kenya. Thank you.
I just unmuted you so we can also hear you.
Okay, great, thank you. May I begin?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Hello, everyone. After this inspiring beginning, I am going to say something which will sound just a little more frivolous, but sometimes very big ideas begin in modest ways. So please go back with me in time, 10 years ago and more, and think about women's livers, women livers, and braless or not, that was the big thing. Laura Nagel had an idea that liberals and UUs ought to do something for us chicks. Maybe Laura really knew what she was doing all along. Maybe not. What she did is this. She turned her big idea into a dedicated organization, the International Convocation of UU Women, which transmuted into the International Women's Convocation. We are it. How did she do that? Laura was president and executive director of the Southwest UU Women. She was a co-founder of Women and Religion. She was practically, in Houston, a household word. She knew lots of good women. She knew serious women who could be counted on, like each of you. Laura had experience. Some people think I have known Laura Nagel forever, but not until she invited me to attend her early pre-Houston conference meetings did we meet. And we did not always see eye to eye. We had our disagreements, knock down, drag out disagreements. Sometimes we like to think women know how to be good and nice to each other. We learned that. It took a little while. So sometimes we would shed a tear and give a small hug, and we would start all over again. When we got close to the conference, Laura said, you know, we need somebody to stand up there who can help hold it together. Oh, yes, I said. I've done that. After all, I was a dancer for years. She said, just stand backstage behind the curtain. Or I said, stand, hold a clipboard, tell people when to go on and when to come off. When I got to Houston and the hotel, I realized that there was no backstage, no front stage, no stage at all. There was a big platform in the ballroom, not even a curtain. So I stood at the podium and improved my prayer skills. And between sections of the conference, Laura and I would plunk down in the sofas in one of the lobbies, and she would spiel off information about the next presenters. She helped me sound as though I knew what I was talking about, and we held it all together. Laura, I think you poured everything you were and everything you knew into that conference. You called on Margot Adler of NPR, Carolyn McDade, our beloved composer of so many of our songs, the UU moderator, the two UUA presidential candidates. You applied your professional know-how in social and community organizing. You made community capacity building real. The women at the conference named the right priorities at the kairos, the right time, and stuck with them. They showed women and men how results can happen when women plan for them. They showed how big decisions can be made by consensus. No woman gets voted off the island. Everybody wins. You did a lot of other stuff, Laura. You built awareness into understanding, real engagement for many of us. You showed how participation could lead to a sense of ownership, a sense that we must not let this thing slip by. We must not fail. We must keep on. You built sustainability into the very wharf and woof of the IWC. You built opportunities for communities of women to reinvent what they were doing without losing their dedication to keep on. As though to say, if we have solved one problem, well, as we've heard this morning, we can go on to the next. Before you know, we were all looking at something that seemed truly radical. A larger, more inclusive, more diverse, more empowered community for women. Not bad for a bunch of chicks. Well, Laura, some honors have been given to a person who has accomplished one of the things we've talked about. You have done them all. Laura Nagel, we are deeply indebted to you. You gave us a spark, a generator, a force field of important change for women. Laura, we honor you with the Margaret Barr Award. And on behalf of IWC members, supporters, board of directors, staff, golden oldies, we ask that you accept this honor. Laura, would you like to respond?
Yes, I would. Thank you, Barbara. That was wonderful. It's always wonderful to hear you talk. And I want to thank you, Barbara, for that introduction and for all your work on behalf of ICUUW. I also want to thank the board and officers of ICUUW for this award. I doubt it is deserved, but I am very honored to receive it and so appreciative. This is a bit of leave taking for us all as I move into retirement, and I appreciate that we can do it with an eye toward the future, closing one chapter and beginning a new one. Barbara asked me about my thoughts for the future direction of ICUUW on this, the 10th anniversary of its creation. It is auspicious also for our admittance to consultative status with the United Nations. That to me offers such a clear path forward for us because we were from the start in accord with the theories underpinning the Millennium Development Goals. These were so successful across the globe in improving the lives of women and basic human development. I hope the Women's Convocation will continue the Global Sisters Groups as the grassroots democratic method used to set the organization's goals in the 5 key human functioning areas of leadership, economic development, healthcare, education, and violence prevention. This is also close to another anniversary for me, as I turn 70 this September, my official retirement age. I hope it is a future of more writing. I have just completed the biography of the Reverend Margaret Barr, for whom this award is named, and which the online Unitary Universalist Dictionary of Biographies assures me will be published soon. The ICUUW has also sanctioned a book that Karen LaFrance and I have committed to write in the coming year about the micro-lending project that ICUUW completed in Uganda, the history of which is almost as long as that of the organization. And I'm pleased to say Karen is with us today. She's our former business director. I will close by taking us back to the old Chinese proverb we like to quote that says, "Women hold up half the sky," by which they mean we are 50% of the world's population, and yet we are still vastly undereducated, undervalued for our economic contributions, trafficked into slavery, victims of femicide and rape, and made child brides in many parts of the world. There is still much work to do, but thank you.
Thank you, Laura, for those very accurate and inspiring and challenging words. That is what we have always counted on you for, and we are never disappointed. So thank you again. Ladies, gentlemen, girls, women, even my husband sitting in the hallway over there, it is our turn now. Let us at this moment rededicate ourselves to women's rights and women's empowerment. We know we will need some strength. We know we will need a great deal of courage. We will, however, keep on and on and on. We will move forward together. And to each of you here today, thank you for your passion, your action, your work, and your love. And Laura Nagel, thank you. We will move forward together. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Barbara.
Good day. I'm Jerry Kennedy, the current treasurer for the IWC. I'm very honored to have that position, and I come to you from Seattle, Washington. First, I would like to thank everyone for their generous donations. This is the lifeblood of this organization. And while a great deal of our funding for the actual programs that where we support the women in other countries come from grants, our day-to-day expenses are all through your donations. We run a really tight ship, but there are costs for our wonderful executive director, Joyce, for insurance and web services and Zoom and all these other little things, and that's where your donations come in. As the International Women's Convocation received special consultative status with the UN Economic and Social Council in July of last year, the organization is honored to be at the forefront of efforts tackling the unfinished business of our time, and that is empowering all women and girls to achieve gender equity. This year is going to be a challenge financially and in other ways. One of our major fundraisers, the International Women's Day plate collections, were minimized this year because churches were no longer holding in-person services. We were successful, though, in obtaining one of the payroll protection plan loans from the government of about $3,400, and hopefully that will be converted into a grant, and we should know about that shortly. We are expanding all the different ways that you can make donations using secure payments, in addition to just sending an old-fashioned written out check, which we're always happy to get in the mail. In closing, we ask that Unitarian Universalist congregations consider dedicating one of their Sunday offerings or collections to the important work of the International Women's Convocation. On March 9th, which is International Women's Day, or in May, sometime around Mother's Day. We do a packet of information every single year that has resources for UU congregations to either plan a worship service, to help talk about the plate collection, and just in general to talk about how the funds will support our mission, empowering girls and women worldwide. And these materials can also be used as a program if you have a women's group or a women's retreat. Our 2021 resource packet will be available by this fall, and you can contact us at admin@icuuw.com with any questions or concerns that you might have. And again, I thank you for all your support, because without those donations and without your support, this organization would not be able to continue to exist. Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions? Well, with that, I think we can move on to Reverend Aday's report.
Thank you. On our 10th anniversary, we're pleased to announce the upcoming launch of a new website that will offer a fresh new look. It is fully responsive on mobile devices, it's easily navigated, and boasts a visually appealing design. This new website will provide a clear message about who we are, what we stand for, and offer useful information about our programs, advocacy, and resources. In my 2019 fall report, I announced the special consultative status granted to IWC by the United Nations Economic and Social Council on July 26, 2019. That new status allows us to organize a delegation to attend the UN's annual meetings. And in preparation for that meeting in March last year, IWC representatives made plans to attend the 64th session of the UN Commission on the Status of Women, who would share their experience with the IWC network. In addition, IWC was scheduled to host a parallel event during the CSW 64 that was co-sponsored by the United Nations office. However, due to the COVID-19 global pandemic, all scheduled activities were canceled. But so as to keep our advocacy and conversations with members and supporters going, the leadership of IWC met and discussed opportunities for further action and alternative formats for our parallel event. In spite of setbacks and social distancing due to the COVID-19 pandemic, there are many success stories to share about the lives of women and girls around the globe. In April of this year, we offered the first in a series of webinars focusing on innovative programs, empowering vulnerable women and girls in Bolivia to gain knowledge and skills through trainings, to increase access to services and employment opportunities, and to promote sustainable options in rural communities. The video of this webinar is available on YouTube and can be found through the following link, youtube.BES29Y, and this will be posted so you can see it. IWC continues to partner with Sinkante, the women's wing of the Unitarian Union of Northeast India, to help raise awareness of and prevent violence against women and girls. From November 2019 to January 2020, Sinkate organized a variety of violence awareness and prevention programs involving over 600 children, youth, and adults in the Kazi and Janta Hills. Men were asked to wear white ribbons as a symbol of their opposition to violence against women and girls and pledge together to report incidences and commit to end violence. Thanks to the generous support of members and friends of IWC, our 2019 Faithify crowdfunding campaign aimed at expanding a leadership development program in Bolivia successfully surpassed our goal of $5,000. This project kicked off in February 2020 with bi-weekly training courses in hairdressing, sewing, and healthy food habits, complemented with leadership and prevention of violence trainings. In the future, entrepreneurial business skills and environmental education will be added to the program's elements. However, for now, the program has been halted. After a series of quarantine measures were announced, including prohibited gatherings and public activities in mid-March, Bolivia then went into national lockdown on March 22nd in order to stem the spread of COVID-19. These measures, including suspension of all public gatherings and events, will remain in place through June 30th. The women and girls in the program are mostly homemakers and students, and Calixta Chirata observes that training these women is fundamental in confronting macho violence that is predominant in the sector of the population nationwide. It is reported in Bolivia, 7 out of 10 women suffer some form of physical assault, almost always committed by their intimate partner. Calixta continues, it is a great satisfaction to watch women and girls gather with enthusiasm, build their capacities, and acquire the tools and knowledge they need to make a difference in their lives. Now, while it's considered taboo, intimate partner violence is a deep social issue in both Romania and Hungary too. According to statistics, 1 in every 10 women in Romania is a victim of domestic abuse. More than half of Romanians think domestic violence is normal, and most cases of intimate partner violence remain unreported. In the spring of 2019, IWC received a grant of $2,000 from the UU funding program in support of expanding UNOSA's violence prevention initiatives in Hungarian Unitarian communities. At the end of November and beginning of December, a 3-day seminar was organized in Romania. And in February 2020, the program was organized in Budapest, Hungary. Over 40 women and men attended each event. Topics discussed by mental health professionals and psychologists included types and manifestations of domestic violence. Mental health specialists also touched upon coping with grief and loss. Following the training in Transylvania, informational flyers created to raise awareness as well as providing helpful information were handed out at the second training in Budapest. The IWC is fortunate enough to have such dedicated board members and jovial staff, but it takes a community to make a difference. If you are passionate about women's empowerment around the world and are looking for an opportunity to serve while making a global difference, the International Women's Convocation might just be your place. If you're interested in joining our team of dedicated volunteers, please let us know by sending an email to the address on our website. Yours in faith, Reverend Ade Krabah, IWC President.
Thank you, Ade, for that wonderful report of what the organization did in the past year. I was thinking of what to say in my report as an executive director. And so you all know that 2020 marks the 10th anniversary of IWC. And as we celebrate this milestone that we've reached, it is important to remember where we came from and honor our founders. And thank you, Barbara, for the wonderful, your wonderful words of appreciation to Laura. And thank you, Laura, for being with us today. To me, it's just so heartwarming that you are, to be with you here on the call and hear you. Without you, this organization would not be here. And we all know that we owe a great deal to your visionary leadership. So thank you again, Laura. So here we are honoring our founders, but also our partners, our members and supporters, and all those who helped grow IWC and the UU Global Women's Movement. So for this special occasion, we have prepared a short video looking back at where we started and what we have accomplished in this past decade. I'm going to copy the link in the chat box before I start the video. So if you experience delay or sound issues, you can bring it up on your own computers to play the recording. We will also send out a link to the video following the annual meeting, so you can watch it again anytime. And enjoy this little video. Just 1 second, let me find the link to put it in the chat box. Okay, and I will now start the video.
Good morning. I'm Zsófia Stranicki, Executive Director of the International Convocation of Unitarian Universalist Women, a nonprofit organization doing business as International Convocation, or IWC. On the 10th anniversary of our organization, we celebrate our accomplishments and honor our founders, partners, members, and supporters. IWC is an outgrowth of the first International Convocation of UU Women and People of Progressive Faith, which in 2009 brought 600 people from 17 countries to Houston, Texas, to affirm the need to weave global partnerships to enrich women's lives. This trailblazing event was the brainchild of Laura Nagel, who became the founding executive director of the new organization. Under the visionary leadership of founding President Barbara Crest Beach and subsequent presidents Reverend Carol Houston, Arlene Johnson, and Reverend Ade Krabah, IWC has blossomed into an organization at the forefront of efforts for women's empowerment and gender equality, endowing more than 3,500 women and girls in Bolivia, Hungary, India, Philippines, and Romania, and Uganda with knowledge, resources, and skills to become catalysts for change in their lives, families, and communities. A special collection at the Houston Convocation that raised $10,000 for African projects helped launch a microloan program near the Ugandan capital in 2012 in partnership with the African Rural Schools Foundation. Over the course of 3 years, 54 women received business training and 40 women borrowed funds to expand their businesses. In 2017, the project successfully migrated into local hands. The women organized themselves into a new community-based nonprofit. The second International Convocation of UU Women, whose attendance rivaled that of the Houston Convocation, took place in Transylvania, Romania in 2012. The event had far-reaching consequences. Local Unitarian women partnered with IWC to implement projects and programs to uplift and empower women in Transylvania in the priority areas established at the second convocation. Unitarian women from Hungary organized themselves into an association and started offering programs to their members. A groundbreaking leadership school for Unitarian women in Transylvania, initiated in 2014 and continuing today, has provided complex leadership training for more than 350 women. 2 Acacia women participated in the Transylvania convocation. These women and their colleagues at St. Quinte, the women's wing of the Unitarian Union of Northeast India, were inspired by the event and the Transylvanian Leadership School, and decided to partner with IWC to implement a comprehensive leadership development program for Acacia women. Funded by a UU funding program grant through IWC, the Leadership School provided training for more than 300 women in 2015 and 2016. In 2015, IWC organized a gathering in Bolivia, bringing together women from South America and from around the world passionately interested in women's empowerment and response to climate change. A pilot leadership training program in Bolivia, identified as a key need at the 2015 gathering, was implemented in 2019 with funds raised through a crowdfunding campaign. The program continues, focusing on developing capacities for long-term success and strengthening grassroots women's leadership. In addition to leadership development, IWC is actively involved in violence awareness and prevention programs in UU communities around the world. Through UU funding program grants and Faithify crowdfunding, IWC has extended financial assistance to the UU Women's Association of Philippines, UNOS, the Unitarian Women's Association of Romania, and St. Quinte, the women's wing of the Unitarian Union of Northeast India, in support of their violence prevention programs. In 2017, over 230 people came together at the 3rd International Women's Convocation in Monterey, California, reaffirming commitment to work for women's empowerment and fostering global community. Participants left with action steps and ideas they can implement in their own congregations and communities. Plans are now underway for a 4th International UU Women's Convocation in 2023. Our hard work was recognized last year by the United Nations, which granted the organization special consultative status with the UN Economic and Social Council, the highest status bestowed upon non-governmental organizations by the United Nations. In a year stricken by the COVID-19 pandemic, there is a second pandemic, threatening major setbacks on precious progress made toward gender equality. From a spike in domestic violence to increased unpaid care work, from loss of employment to heightened vulnerability of female frontline workers, women and girls are disproportionately negatively affected. In this crisis of 2 pandemics, our empowerment and awareness programs, resources, and advocacy are more important and urgent than ever. On our 10th anniversary, we realize just how far we have come. Together with our partners, members, and committed supporters, we continue to promote the empowerment of women and girls because we believe that gender equality is fundamental for a peaceful, prosperous, and sustainable world. So please join our movement and our greater IWC family as we tackle the greatest human rights challenge in the world. Thank you.
And this is Carol Houston. I will carry us on into the future, I believe, that is next on the agenda with the nominating committee report. Are you hearing me, Jofi?
Yes, yes, we are.
Okay, all right. It was my pleasure to serve as chair of the nominating committee this year, working with Karen Korsh and Ade Kraba to put together a slate of people going forward. I will go off the board. I have been on the board or in an office position, either treasurer, president, or vice president, for 10 years, and that's enough for any board to tolerate me. So I will go off the board. We have a tradition, however, of keeping our past presidents around, don't we, Barbara? Arlene Johnson, too. So I will be around, but I will not be officially a member of the board. In the presidency, we are nominating Karen Korsh. Karen served as vice president this past year. She's in the nursing profession. She is also active in the American Association of University Women. She lives in Illinois, in Deerfield, Illinois. She's in the congregation in Deerfield, Illinois. And she has been very active in the past 2 years with us, raising her hand every time we needed someone on a task force. She is the point person on our relationship with the United Nations, which is very important, and she will make a fine president. Stepping into the nomination for vice president is Beth O'Connell. She is a journalist and she resides in Paris right now, is active in our UU Paris Fellowship and also the European UUs. And again, raising her hand to take responsibility and work with work with all that we're doing, and we are nominating her for vice president. Coming on to the board, that we are nominating Reverend Carol Thomas Sissel. She is minister of our congregation in State College, Pennsylvania, active in many state and local organizations and UU organizations as well. Among them, she's interim chair of the UU Commission on Appraisal. And she would be for a 3-year term on the board. For a 2-year term on the board, Ade Kraba, as I said, our presidents do not go away. Our presidents keep working, keep helping our organization grow and thrive, and Ade will be a board member. She is in Texas and active with the Rotary Club and leadership with the Rotary Club there, and with many other things. So that is our slate. More information about these candidates is on the link. There's a link in the agenda. You can look at that. But I am pleased to move adoption of this slate of nominees to you, Ade, for our election.
This is Jerry Kennedy. I second the motion.
Thank you, Jerry.
No objections, the motion passed.
May I say something? Is it too late? I couldn't unmute myself.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
My name is Jacqueline Thomas. I live in Louisville, Kentucky, and I lived in Paris for 30 years. I would just like to say, I'm sure the candidates are absolutely wonderful, and I'm sure that the nominating committee was very careful in their choice, but I'm very disappointed that there's no one from any other country besides the USA, and the name of this organization is international. So I'm not asking for any changes, but maybe people could keep this in mind for next year.
In response to that, 3 of our 9 members of the board are from actually 4, counting Beth in Paris still. We have Eljiva in India, Elvi in the Philippines, and Christina Paul is from Romania, although she is currently located in Germany. Those 3 lines in the board structure were not up for renomination this year.
Okay.
So it's as international as we can get it at this point.
I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that. Thank you.
I should have clarified that before I started. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the question, Jackie. Thank you.
So like I said, we'd like to say a few words about Carol to honor her for her years of service. She went over some of her history when she was talking. She's been with this organization from the beginning. Let's see, I'm sorry, I have to look at my notes. It's early for me. Carol started out bringing a proposed study action issue on women's rights worldwide to the General Assembly. This was in 2008, 2009. Her study action issue failed to be adopted 2 years in a row, so she turned her energy to planning the 2009 International UU Women's Convocation in Houston, which was the first convocation. After the Houston convocation, she joined the board of ICUUW as it developed and she became the organization's first treasurer from 2010 till 2013. She also served as the second president from 2013 to 2016, then vice president for 2 years and a board member until now. She has stayed active on several committees, the Bylaws Committee, the CSW Committee, and the Internal Leadership Development Committee. Carol has been involved in almost every aspect of this organization, and we're very proud and honored to have her with us. Thank you so much, Carol, for your service.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you.
And we look forward to working with you in the future for many more years.
Okay, all right, will do.
Thank you so much, Carol, for everything that you have done for this organization. And I think all of us can be happier that you will continue our work with your work with IWC in the various committees that you are involved in. And as a token of our appreciation, we just asked Linnea, and you can look behind you. She's coming with a little gift. Hi, Linnea.
Oh my, oh, thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
Oh, thank you, that's wonderful. Oh, this is, I can't, this group is part of my lifeblood, and I will be around, but I will enjoy watching as other leaders come into the fold and take it on into the future. The loss of that women's rights worldwide proposal at General Assembly was a terrible, depressing, shattering loss. But look what's grown from it instead. This is so much more than a simple resolution about women's situation at GA would have been. So thank you all. Thanks for all the energy that has arisen, and blessings on you. Good to be with you.
Well, I just want to say, Carol, also thank you personally for inviting me to be a part of the first convocation, and it was a pleasure working with you then, and it continues. As we part, please remember that within each of you is a glorious light. Go forth and let the light of reason be a guide in your decisions. Bring a ray of hope to those in need of help in both body and spirit. Spread the glow of love into the darkness. Fan the flames of passion to help heal our world. Go forth and share your glorious light. May it be so.